This is a book called Pride Comes Before the Fall. It's written by Kirk Cameron, and it's an anti-LGBT, far-right conservative book, basically. It has a far-right conservative message to it. It was published by Brave Books, which is Kirk Cameron's company or whatever. As far as I can tell, they're ghost-written books, but the writer, quote-unquote, in this case, Kirk Cameron, I have some by... Let's see, Michael Flynn. This one is by Michael Flynn. I have some by Kevin Sorbo. And then this one is by J.P. Sears. You know, I have a feeling that these people probably, like, guide the direction of the book, but they have ghostwriters to actually do the heavy lifting, do the writing. And they have artists and everything. It's actually really, really top tier, you know, artistry and writing and things, in my opinion, in a lot of cases. Anyway, let's read this and see what it has to say for itself, shall we? By the way, I did scan these in. I purchased the book. Just want to make sure that this is public and on record so everybody understands how this happened. I purchased these books, the physical copies. These are not ebooks that I purchased. I got the physical copies. I took the binding off, and I scanned each page in one by one, basically transferring my legally purchased hard copy to a legal digital copy. Now, it is against the law for you guys to copy this book from my stream, but as my property, it's perfectly legal for me to criticize this book. So this is Freedom Island. They have this whole... I don't know what you call it, like this whole lore or whatever. The books actually came with this gigantic, humongous heckin' poster here. By the way, I've done a whole series of these on my Telltale Reads YouTube channel. I've done a couple of them on my main channel too. Oh, glossy paper. I hate glossy paper. It's the worst. Oh, shoot me in the face, please. The things I do for you. I'm holding glossy paper for you guys. Okay, I just dipped it in my coffee. Oops. Anyway, this is the Freedom Island poster that came with it, so that's going right in the recycling. Glossy paper is the bane of my existence. I don't know why I hate glossy paper so much, but you ever seen those holographic things where you turn them up and down or from side to side, and they change the image on them? And if you scratch them, it goes like that, kind of like a zipping sound, because it has little raised edges so that it can change the image. My kid hates those. She can't stand that stuff. It bothers her so much. So I handle the holographic images for her, and she handles the glossy paper for me. Since she's not here, the map stays sprawled on the floor in the middle of everything until she arrives to throw it away for me. Usually with these books, they're pretty tame generally, but at the end they have this little section that really drills in the propaganda. It gets bad. All right, let's take a look. Valor's grin was wider than a mile. Today, he would compete in the Great Rocka Rapids race, and he was confident that he was going to win. Yeah, the pages were a little bit too big for my scanner, so I had to shave off like half an inch from each page. This is supposed to be one big picture, but yeah, you'll see some cut off fingers and stuff every now and then. Valor and his friends gathered at Mushroom Falls for the race every summer. Only this year, things were not going quite as he'd expected. Hey, Rebel, Asher called to the cheetah. Do you want to be my partner? Rebel grinned. For sure. Near the starting line, Bongo gave Ava a high paw. Dude, we're so going to win this thing. Valor couldn't believe it. If Asher was with Rebel and Bongo was with Ava, that left Valor without a partner. He was smart and strong. Why didn't he choose him? So he's what? Is he jealous? Is that what they're saying? Valor is jealous? I think Valor is this white tiger here. I'm not really sure. Then Valor heard Kevin the Elephant behind him. Oh, Kevin the Elephant here in the top left, he believed that he was a bird. Elephants Are Not Birds was this book, and it was written by some nutcase. I don't remember which one. And it was obviously an anti-trans book. Like all of these books have some far-right Christian extremist message to them. Quick interjection. I won't take long. I just wanted to tell you guys, YouTube's algorithm operates off of a few factors. Watch time, whether or not you subscribe, and whether or not you like something. So if you really want to help my channel, I would appreciate it if you guys watch the video to the end. If you don't watch it to the end, just watch a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. I would appreciate that very much. All right, let's get back to the video. Asher the Fox here. Asher, by the way, is a Jewish name. Asher the Fox here starred in a book called Freedom Day the Asher Way, where he basically destroyed socialism or some other thing. It was insane, dude, really. This whole thing is insane. Then Valor heard Kevin the Elephant behind him. Hey, friends, do any of you need a partner? You're just in time, Asher the Fox called. Valor still needs a partner. Jump on. Valor frowned, thinking he deserved better. Oh, so Kevin shows up. Valor gets a partner that's kind of not as good as some of the others. Okay. Well, I mean, in my experience, when you're in these types of competitions, you really want to mix and match. If they're just for fun, you want to get, like, some of the less experienced ones with the more experienced ones. So the less experienced ones can learn from them. And so it's a little bit more evened out. I don't know. That's just my experience. Kevin was nice, but he was a lot better at singing than paddling. Before Valor could say anything, Kevin hopped on board. Boom! The cannon blasted and rafts took off. Asher and Rebel zoomed forward on their high-tech raft, while Bongo and Ava pushed ahead with powerful strokes. Everyone was doing great. Well, almost everyone. Notice they said the cannon blasted and rafts took off. They had another book called Paws Off My Hand Cannon, and it was basically a pro-gun book encouraging everybody to have guns. It was insane. These books are intended for, like, 8-year-old kids. It's propaganda from top to bottom. Kevin, what are you doing? Valor barked. You're paddling in the wrong direction. Oh, he's upset. Oh, sorry, Kevin winced. I've never paddled a raft before. Is this right? Valor rolled his eyes. Why do I get the partner who has no idea what he's doing? Valor thought to himself. I am the best athlete here. Well, if he's the best athlete here, he should be able to do it all himself then, shouldn't he? Sounds like it's not a pride thing, as the title of the book implies. Sounds like a douchebag thing. Kevin had just started to get the hang of paddling when a pair of weasels started jabbing at Valor and Kevin's raft. Kevin, Valor called, do something. The raft wobbled and toppled right over. Splash! Drenched, Valor flipped the raft over and jumped on. Now they were way behind. Oh, I thought for sure he was going to leave Kevin in the water. I can't believe this, Kevin. Valor slammed his oar down. Why do you have to mess everything up? Kevin turned away. Oh, no. What had he done? Valor looked at his oar. He'd broken it when he slammed it down in anger. Well, that was just stupid decision on Valor's part, seems to me. Wait, Kevin's ear flicked. Do you hear that? Oh, he's got humongous ears, and this is going to pay off for him, right? Valor heard a deep rumbling downstream. They'd reached the Great Rocca Falls. Kevin, I need your oar right away. Valor grabbed Kevin's oar, but it was too late. They had spun, and they went down a waterfall. So they end up at the bottom of the waterfall. At the bottom of the waterfall, Valor started pulling the raft up from the rainforest. He was beginning to realize that their problems weren't all Kevin's fault. If Valor hadn't broken his oar, they would have rafted down the waterfall successfully. Now, this is seemingly a pretty tame book, right? I mean, this is a good lesson. Pride comes before the fall. Absolutely. But there's a subtle message here. Even if the subtle message is pride is wrong. And anytime the kid reading this hears the word pride, gay pride, LGBT pride, whatever, they're immediately going to think that these people are being prideful and evil. That's the goal of the far-right extremist Christian ministry that Kirk Cameron is a part of. Look what I found, Valor. Kevin held out a large branch. I could use this branch to paddle, then you could have my oar. Maybe we can still win the race. Valor smiled. Thanks for offering your oar, but it's my fault we only have one. The tree branch won't be as easy to use, so you keep the paddle and I'll take the branch. Kevin grinned. Let's do this. Kevin and Valor hopped back on the raft, ready to work together. Valor now knew he needed to think about Kevin and not just himself. You know what, Kevin? You're the only one in the race with a trunk. If you use it, I bet we could win. Soon they were flying down the river, passing other teams left and right. You're doing great, Valor called over the sound of water blasting from Kevin's trunk. Isn't that kind of cheating? Seems like that's cheating to me. We've got this, Kevin, shouted Valor. What a confusing sentence. I don't know why my mind couldn't process that. I can see the finish line. Hooray! The crowd cheered as Kevin and Valor crossed the finish line. In second place. Kevin sighed. Sorry we didn't get first, Valor. Valor smiled. Kevin, we would have come in last if it weren't for you. Please forgive me for only thinking about myself, and thank you for sticking with me even when I wasn't a great friend. Absolutely, I forgive you, Kevin said. That's what friends do. The Twigsdale Times. This is after the story is over. Like I said, they have these brave challenge things at the end of these books. And the idea here is to drill in the propaganda and not just talk negatively about pride, but point out how it affects other things. Like I said, they've covered communism, and they've covered guns and how useful they are to society and cancel culture and all of it. The story itself is not always so overt, but the stuff at the end, the challenges and the suggestions and all that, they really drill home some psychotic stories. The Twigsdale Times, dynamic duo unlocks new racing technique to claim second place. And it's Kevin blowing his nose into the lake there. That's great. What a weird... What, this has comics on it and stuff? What is all this? Boy, this place sure is deserted. Don't you mean deserted with one S? No. And this fox is eating a dessert out in the desert. Wow. Okay. Anyways, all right, let's take a look at old Kirk Cameron's thing here. Kirk Cameron, comma, is a Christian, comma, producer, comma, actor. Wow. I think they fit a few too many commas in there. Kirk Cameron is a Christian, producer, actor, television, and film icon, loving husband and father. In addition, Kirk has had a big impact on our society through films like Fireproof, The Homeschool Awakening, and Lifemark. Yeah, those were all psychotic movies. It didn't do that well. They were anti-abortion, pro-homeschooling. I mean, it's just insane, all of this stuff that they're listing here. He and his wife, Chelsea, live in California and have 6 children. Holy Christ, dude, 6 kids? That's a lot. Kirk Cameron is joined with Brave Books in creating Pride Comes Before the Fall, a book on humility and the dangers of pride. To my knowledge, Kirk Cameron owns this publishing company. I could be wrong there. I think he started it and he hired the people, the ghostwriters to do all the heavy lifting for him. Hey families, says Kirk, this is my second book with Brave, and I'm so excited to share this Brave challenge with you and your family. I hope you enjoy these fun games as you learn about humility. Somebody should really be doing this for the left. Not like brainwashing or propaganda books, but just normal, non-psychotic, critical thinking books. Somebody should create a company that pumps these things out, is what I'm saying. Like, I know David Pakman wrote a book for kids or whatever, but there isn't like a whole world built out the way that, the Freedom Island thing is built out with all the characters and everything. Somebody should really do that. I'm not really a good writer, I don't feel. Well, I am a good writer. I just don't like it. Let me rephrase. I don't like writing. I don't know. I guess I could probably organize something like that, but ugh. Introduction. The Great Raqqa Rapids race is about to begin. So, yeah, they're going to be going through, like, the various different games and stuff. If your team can earn 10 points by the end of both games, you've won the challenge. Before starting game 1, choose a prize for winning. For example, going to the pool, having a tasty treat, playing a board game, so on and so forth. Game number 1, acting out. Instructions. 1, choose one cadet for the first round. 2, a parent will whisper to the cadet what he or she will say or act out. 3, the other cadets are the audience and will guess if the cadet is showing pride or humility after the cadet has finished acting out. Okay, I don't understand what that means. After each round, choose a different cadet. There are 6 rounds, okay. Round 1, the cadet will yell out, "Why wasn't I picked for your team?" Oh, okay, so they're just talking about general pride-related things. Got it. Look, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your accomplishments, being proud of who you are. That's what it means to have pride. Now, pride is listed as one of the 7 deadly sins, I believe, in, the Catholic religion. And I think it's spoken negatively generally in the Bible, spoken of negatively in the Bible. The Bible is a reflection of a culture that existed thousands of years ago, like 2,000-3,000 years ago, and does not reflect the values of today's culture. And it shouldn't. These people that wrote the Bible that existed at that time were not as morally or technologically developed as human beings are today. That's just the fact of the matter. Sorry. They just were not as skilled with philosophy and everything else that we are today. They're just not as skilled back then. So I don't want to take the word of a culture from 2,000 years ago or even 3,000 years ago to guide me morally. That's absurd. So they go through like examples of pride and examples of humility. Okay, talk about it. What do you think pride means? Remember, this whole pride thing is a jab against the LGBT community ultimately. That's their ultimate goal. When this kid hears the word pride, they want it to be associated with something negative at any cost, even though gay pride is just a sign that these people are proud of who they are. Kirk Cameron is proud of his children and how far they've come in this or that or whatever. But using that word pride gets him. He's trying to create like a trigger word, like loaded language. He's trying to turn that specific word into something other than what it actually means. He's trying to program a visceral response when kids hear it. Kirk suggests pride is focusing on yourself rather than putting others first. For example, always having to be first, talking about yourself a lot, not being thankful, complaining, or even blaming others. Think about how that applies to Kirk's interpretation or perspective on the LGBT community. Kirk Cameron is a far-right extremist Christian nationalist, okay? Think about how Kirk applies this to them. This is absolutely factual. Kirk Cameron truly does believe the LGBT community focuses on themselves rather than putting others first. He believes that the LGBT community has to be first, talks about themselves constantly, and they're not thankful for what they have, and they're always complaining and blaming others. That is what he believes about it. He's trying to create a specific understanding of a word for children. That's what he's doing here. In the game, you had to act out different responses. Were the prideful responses easy to recognize? Why? Do you think it's always clear when we're being prideful? Why? This is a quote from Philippians 2:3-4. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only on his own interests, but also the interests of others. If they actually followed that, the LGBT community would be way better off. The problem is that Christian fundamentalist extremists can't see beyond their own noses. They believe they're the ones being persecuted when they are actively persecuting members of the LGBT community. Seriously. KJ Dog Love points out he's confusing pride with narcissism. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. In fact, this verse in Philippians doesn't even say the word pride. What it's describing is not pride. It's narcissism. It's self-absorption. It's obsession with yourself and what you want your own interests. That's a problem. Absolutely. I don't like that either. Unfortunately, it's not the LGBT community doing that. You know who is? Kirk Cameron and his ilk, the people in his little group or whatever. And it just flies right over their head. They don't even realize. 4. Give 2 or 3 examples from the story of when Valor was acting prideful. How would Valor have responded differently if he was humble? Kirk suggests, parents, feel free to use the following questions as a resource while you shepherd your child through situations of pride. Shepherd your child, of course, because you're supposed to be a shepherd, and the kids are supposed to be sheeple, right? And the parents, of course, they're sheeple for somebody else. There's a bigger shepherd, the pastor maybe, and then the pastor's probably a sheeple or a sherson or whatever you call him to the, I don't know, like what's higher up than the pastor in these churches? There's some conference, right? In many cases. Anyways, everyone all the way down the line are sheeple in this situation, and I find it fascinating that he uses the term shepherd like this. It's just funny to me. It's often hard to discern what's going on in our hearts when we encounter challenging situations, so here are 4 questions you can ask yourself and your children to help understand your motivation. These 4 questions are a helpful tool that were adapted from Paul David Tripp's book, Age of Opportunity. Okay, I will not take any book recommendations from these people. I just about guarantee that it's a psychotic book. I have no idea who that is. Game number 2, Pressed for Time. Lesson, when we're humble, we think of others above ourselves. Objective, Valor is still struggling to be humble rather than prideful. Brave cadets Help Valor and Kevin finish the race while showing humility to each other. Instructions: the cadets will have 5 minutes to complete 10 tasks. The tasks must be completed one at a time. These sound like church games, the types of games that they'd have kids play to teach some religious lesson or whatever. The cadets will choose one person from their team to complete each task. Cadets will choose who does what task during the game. Make sure the cadets don't plan ahead. To start, the parent will read the first task aloud to the cadets. Each time they finish a task, the parent will read out the next task. List of tasks: do 10 jumping jacks, sing happy birthday 2 times, touch all the pillows in the living room, high five one of your parents, count how many doors there are in the room, so on and so forth. Talk about it. How would you define humility? Okay, I don't understand what this has to do with humility. Am I missing something? What does this have to do with anything? I don't get how this applies. Humility, this is from Kirk Cameron. Kirk suggests, humility is an attitude where you put others before yourself. For example, being thankful, being a good listener, encouraging others, and seeing their gifts or skills, or even admitting when you're wrong. In the game, you had to complete 10 tasks. Did you see anyone display humility as you played? If you saw pride, what was it that you did that demonstrated pride? What could you have done to have a more humble attitude? Okay, is that the point they were trying to get at? What a bizarre, nonsensical point. All right. In the story, Valor thought he was the perfect teammate for the raft race. Did Valor like it when Kevin joined his team? Why or why not? Think of a time when you were being prideful. Why do you think you were prideful? How could you have responded differently if you were being humble? When have you shown humility? Is it hard to be humble? And here's a quote from 1 Peter 5:6-7, of course. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that the proper time he may exalt you, casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Yeah, here's another example of them conflating, or, they're kind of trying to establish being proud of your child as not being humble. You can be proud and also be humble at the same time. You can be proud of your own accomplishments, or your kids' accomplishments, or your whatever, and be a humble person simultaneously. There is a line where you go too far. Not in a clinical sense, but narcissism in a more colloquial sense would be the word they're looking for sure. Tally up the points to see if you won. Here are some final thoughts from Kirk Cameron. This book deals with something that all humans struggle with: pride. The selfish attitude of pride is at the root of our rebellion against God and causes us to sin against him. Wow, dude. I don't feel like I'm prideful. I'm proud of, my own accomplishments, of my kids' accomplishments, proud of the people around me, proud of the XJW community for pulling out, finding their way to freedom. I'm proud of a lot of people for a lot of things. But selfish? I don't think I'm selfish at all. Narcissistic? I don't think so. But, this is kind of part of the deal. You're born sick, and you have to come to Kirk Cameron for instructions on how to get better. As much as we try to be humble and kind, we cannot unless God himself helps us see our sin of pride and turn from it. I don't feel like I'm narcissistic, which is what he's talking about. He's saying you can't be humble. You cannot have humility unless you're a Christian. That's what he's saying here. Thankfully, when we confess our sins and believe the gospel of Jesus Christ, God transforms us on the inside, giving us a new heart with new desires that please him. Anyway, this is the back of the book if you are interested. Saga 3, Tubular, Book 4. Valor doesn't think he will win the Great Rocket Rapids race when Kevin is his partner. Well, there you go. There's the book. Absolutely psychotic ending, as I expected from Kirk Cameron. The story was pretty straightforward in general, and just a decent life lesson for anybody, I suppose. Don't be a D-bag. That seems to have been the message. But Kirk Cameron flipped that into, it's evil to be proud of who you are or be proud of your children. This is like an incredibly destructive way to view yourself and society around you. What is wrong with these people? The saddest thing is that this is an incredibly influential book series that kids are reading every day. And it seems like a normal book until you get to the end. So parents who are not that diligent will send their kid to their grandparents' house, and their grandparent pulls this shit out and starts saying absolutely psychotic stuff. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. This is just bizarre, man. Straight up bizarre. By the way, if you want to see more, I have some on my Telltale Reads YouTube channel. And I also have a couple, I think one from Libs of TikTok, on this channel that we're on right now, if you want to take a look at that. Anyway, yeah, let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are on this.